Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and happy Friday, everyone. I'm Janice, and I'm here to welcome you and to introduce Caverly Morgan if you're here for the first time. Caverly is offering the meditation and the teachings today. Her background, she trained in a silent Zen monastery for 8 years, and she's been teaching awareness practice since 2001. Her teaching style, she for those of you who are new, she blends the original spirit of Zen coming from those monastic roots, but with a more modern non-dual approach. I have the great joy of knowing Caverly personally and professionally, and I can say that she is deeply passionate about her teaching and specifically about igniting not only personal transformation, but collective transformation and awakening. In addition to teaching, she is a nonprofit leader. Caverly founded the contemplative community called Presence Collective, and also the nonprofit called Peace in Schools. So she will be leading a 30-minute meditation today, followed by question and answer. And you're invited to either put your questions in the question box. You can engage on the sidebar as you see people typing in from all over. And you can also ask to come on screen with Caverly and have an exchange. And if you'd like to do that, you just basically ask in the sidebar, and then I can try to bring you on. And before I bring Caverly on, I just want to say a few words about Sangha Live, this platform. I personally am so grateful for this platform. These teachings are made accessible to people literally all over the globe. There's this daily meditation series that Caverly's offering, which is going to continue next week. There's also in-depth courses that you can find on their website. And this has been going on for the past 5 years. For the past 5 years, Sangha Live has provided weekly live sessions provided by teachers from all over. And it's all possible because of the support of the community. So if you have the means, please consider clicking on the green button just below the screen that says Offer Donation Dana. It is this generosity, the generosity of some folks makes this accessible to all. So no problem at all if you don't have the ability to support Sangha Live financially at this moment. But know that if you do, you're helping make this platform accessible for the people who don't. So green button right under the screen. Please give if you can, what you can. So I'm going to now bring Caverly on screen. All right, let me bring her up. There you are.
Thank you, Janice. And friends, you should know Janice teaches through Presence Collective, and she also teaches through Peace in Schools and does tremendous work keeping Peace in Schools together. Janice is a form of glue for our nonprofit. So check out what we're doing in the world if that interests you. And thank you, Janice, again. So happy to be here. Janice and I were just chatting before we came on screen, and I said that I didn't see any requests come in regarding today's meditation. I didn't. There were no unanswered questions that I saw in the chat box. So Janice and I were chatting about how today it might be nice to focus on moving into the weekend. Just recognizing we won't be meeting in this way Saturday and Sunday. And thanks again to so many of you who are showing up every day in a dedicated way. Really appreciate that. I really appreciate this community that has formed. So before I move into today's sit, since again, there's no particular theme other than it's always the same theme of awakening and presence. Do let me know, if you would, in the sidebar, what's alive in this moment? And then this morning, I'd like to ask, what's alive and what are you grateful for? So 2 phrases or 2 words. What's alive? An example might be tiredness and grateful for being. So thank you, Julie. Thanks for saying hello and offering that gratitude. Again, this has been incredibly rich for me, friends. I'm so grateful to be showing up in this way with you all, practicing with you all. So, namaste, confidence, a bit worried, but grateful for this and all meditation. Yes, grateful for the chance for the earth to heal, to be here. Grateful for connectedness. Clenched my husband. I think I didn't get that word right. Maybe that's your husband's name. Grateful for online community. Trying to settle in, feeling grateful for life. Thank you, friends. Appreciate that. We will move into our period of sitting. As I mentioned, Janice and I were chatting about the recognition that we've had this support, the community support for practice every day for the last several weeks now. We will continue next week. And over the weekend, you're welcome to tune into some of our recorded calls. And those, Janice at some point can put in the sidebar the link to that. But they're actually on the Caverly Morgan website, as well as the Sangha Live website, I believe, at this point. I'd be grateful for your follow along on YouTube if that interests you. And that said, let's see what arises in this meditation around what might we be practicing over the weekend. Again, you could listen to past recordings, but let's take some intention into the weekend so that we remain in community with each other in a very direct way. Thank you for posting that link, Janice. All right. Allow the belly to soften. Often we hold in the belly habitually without even realizing it. So allow for release. The same can be true of the jaw. Notice if there's any habitual holding in the jaw. And invite release. Turn your attention to the space, the center of the forehead. You might even want to touch it to ground the attention there. Allow for release. While focusing the attention there in the center of the forehead, breathe in and out for just another minute or two, as if you're breathing in and out of the space, the center of the forehead. And then, same thing, just touch lightly the crown of the head. Releasing any tension or holding at the crown of the head, bringing your attention to the experience of softening and opening at the crown of the head. And then dropping the attention to the heart, to the center of the chest, touching again the center of your chest to ground the attention there. Softening. Experiencing the center of the chest, not just from this recognition of the sensation at the front body, but attending to the sensation in the sides and the back, the center of the chest. Breathing and softening, releasing in the heart. And then lastly, in terms of this kind of prompting, placing the right hand on the center of the chest and the left hand right where the right hand in the center of the chest and the left hand right where the ribs come in together to touch. Softening. Breathing. Resting in this embrace of compassion. Receiving this embrace of compassion. And then as you release your hands, if your hands were in that position, this is all optional. Continue to rest the attention in the heart as we move towards silence. Tuning into the silence of the heart. In the chat bar this morning, someone said, grateful for this time that feels like ceremony. Allow this meditation to be a ceremony, a celebration of the heart. Here, together, held in the spaciousness of the unconditionally welcoming heart. The heart center is the place of possibility as well as the place of unconditional loving acceptance. Settle in there. Release into this open space of the heart. Know yourself as this open space of the heart of awareness. And then without any pushing, this is not an invitation to start thinking about what you're grateful for. Just notice if in the heart anything is revealed. Some of us haven't spent much time recently allowing the attention to relax in the heart, settle in the heart. So see it rather than conjuring something. See it as now I'm in a room and the lights have been turned on. What's there? What's revealed? As you explore this room of gratitude, is there anything that surprises you? Something that the conditioned mind might not have deemed as that which you're grateful for. Just notice. Meister Eckhart said, if the only prayer you ever had was yes and thank you, that would be enough. Ultimately, we're in meditation practice saying yes and thank you to life. But for this meditation, are there any specifics revealed? And if this isn't resonating at all, no worries, you can't do this wrong. Simply rest in the heart as we move into the silence of this meditation. Settle in the stillness and the silence of the heart. Quietly attending to whatever's revealed. And again, if nothing is revealed, to the experience of that emptiness, say yes and thank you. Friends, thank you so much. To this community, yes, and thank you. To Sangha Live, yes, and thank you. And in light of touching into the grateful heart, if you're able to support Sangha Live, again, now is my opportunity to remind you that it would be deeply appreciated and is needed. So, green button right below if you can. I invite you to come on screen today. I really appreciate that some folks took me up on that yesterday. If you'd like to come on screen, you simply write that in the sidebar and Janice will bring you on so that we could have an exchange about the still and grateful heart, the stillness and the silence of the heart. You're also welcome to type in a question below. So please do if you wish. While I'm looking to see if anyone has anything they'd like to share, let me acknowledge, Charlie, your gratitude for your newfound strength in sobriety. Yes. And thank you. All right. What are you noticing? What are you present to? Julian, thank you for acknowledging your gratitude for the renewed serenity and the reconciliation movements. Yeah, it seems important to acknowledge that touching in with a grateful heart doesn't erase difficulty. We're not placing our head, burying our head in the sand as we turn the attention, as we focus on a grateful heart, a quiet heart. So many people over the last week have written in a little something about these realms of experience, the absolute realm of experience, and then the relative realm of experience. As an example, in relationship to today's focus on the silence, the stillness of the heart, can we have open eyes and see, for example, how there's great disparity in this time of a pandemic? The privileged are having a very different experience of the pandemic than those without a lot of resources, or in some cases, any resources. Given that, can we see that with open eyes while focusing on gratitude? Can we hold both? If I'm in a position of privilege, which I am, can I acknowledge that privilege? Can I say thank you for what there is to be grateful for? Recognizing that not being grateful doesn't serve anyone. I'd love to hear your experience of that or your thoughts on that. And if you are simply enjoying resting in the silence and the stillness of heart, that's fine too. There's never a requirement to speak or engage in this platform. But do know that I have a practice of only speaking what's arising to speak. And if nothing else arises, I will fall silent. And that will mean it's just simply an opportunity for us to rest in that silence together again. At the monastery where I trained, above the phone in the office was a little sign. Before speaking, consider whether it's an improvement upon silence. Hopefully that doesn't come off as too pressure-filled and throw us into our conditioned tendency to say, oh, I was going to come on screen and engage, but now I don't know that what I have to say would be an improvement upon silence. But as a practice, we can ask ourselves, what's it like to speak from the silence? Pat, thank you. And Eric, yes, congratulations, Charlie. And Matthew, thank you for this week. While I was sitting, I was surprised by an image of spring buds on a tree. This is moving, so I'm trying to read it. Branches with light. Oh, so sorry, it's going too quickly. Ashley, I think your note is on repeat or something. So I've lost what was above it. I don't know that I can get. Oh, I can scroll down. Great. Okay. So I was surprised to find inside the room of my heart a tangle of throngs, rose bushes. Underneath the tangle was a little I recognized to blame, I recognized to be me. Sorry for my butchering your note here. I need to remember to bring my reading glasses to these calls. The surprise to be found was gratitude, even for the things that I have perceived as painful or suffering. Yes, absolutely. That's one of the things we focus on, in fact, in our Peace in Schools curriculum when we teach a lesson on gratitude. We focus on, as a practice, learning to be grateful even for the things that the conditioned mind would assert we shouldn't be grateful for. For example, the recent death of my beloved dog that I've spoken to you all about, Bamke. Certainly, I'm not grateful for his passing, according to the conditioned mind. At the same time, I'm grateful for the evolving nature of constant change that life is. I'm grateful for the beauty of the birth of a bud, and then the opening and the falling apart of the bloom. Grateful for the cycle of life, if you will. And in particular with Banke's passing, I'm grateful for the love that was accessed through the intimacy of his transition. Just a fresh example. Grateful for even the things that I've perceived as painful or suffering. So thank you, Linda. It's helpful, isn't it, to recognize we might need to reframe how we define suffering. Thank you. I see there's some questions now in the box. Spencer, I would love to share my experience with my camera on. Lovely. Okay, Spencer, I trust that Janice is figuring out how to bring you on. And Yevlin, wonderful. You'd like to come on as well. Great. Sandy, how can I authentically cultivate so spacious a heart as to truly hold lightly aggression from others? Thank you. Allow me to sit with that while I see that Spencer is coming on screen here. So Janice, for some reason, Spencer's down in the corner and I'm only seeing behind him. Oh, there you are, Spencer, but I'm not seeing your face yet. I'm not sure what just happened. Spencer, I'm wondering if the connection is a bit... Okay, let's try this. Hi, Spencer.
I have two cameras, so
okay.
I just put the laptop into my lap.
Great.
And usually my other camera comes on. But
okay.
Hello,
Spencer. Hello.
I love that meditation because it's still going on. And when you asked, I'm trying to remember what it was you asked. Oh, about compassion, about welcoming compassion. And I was surprised in a way because I had always felt or associated compassion with another. And I realized it's always right here, always. And I did not, if someone had asked me, I would say, yes, it's always here, but I didn't know it before.
Spencer, yeah, what you're pointing to is really important. We can have an intellectual understanding of something, but that only gets us so far. Almost everyone on this call has probably read lots of books about meditation and practice, or at least heard lots of talks about meditation and practice. But until we know these things in our own direct experience, it's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just to reflect your insight back to you, it's an important one. You're seeing that compassion, and I would suggest love, are not limited to a subject-object relationship.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I love that Rupert Spira says, love is the end of relationship, because it's the end of I, a separate self, am relating to you, a separate self. That's what we love about love. We love that experience, that firmness of identity falls away in that experience of love.
Absolutely. That says it, that expresses as I felt it. The words were not inside me for that. Also, there's I guess it would be a similar type of experience when you talked about gratitude, because when I sank into it, there was nothing that I was gratitude for. And that was, I'm saying that in a deeper way. It did not have an object. It was just gratitude.
Yeah.
And I'm gratitude for the sunny day and for the birds and trees, and I am.
Yes.
But it wasn't about that.
Yes. And I'm glad you're articulating this, Spencer, because that is the gift of a practice of gratitude. When Janice and I talked about, I wonder what practice could be offered that people could take into the weekend. I was thinking it's a nice time for a gratitude practice, and focusing in a gratitude practice on the objects. It's like it can oil the mechanisms, if you will. But you're right. If we practice it enough, I think that's why Meister Eckhart said if your only prayer was yes and thank you, that would be enough. You notice he didn't say thank you to, and then list the things that he was thankful for. It's yes and thank you. As I said in the meditation, yes and thank you to life, to being. But the kind of going through the creating a form, if you will, to prompt that experience is actually all we're doing as we say, may I be grateful for this. May I be grateful for my health. May I be grateful for, right? And we make our observations, we make our lists.
It often, it's like what this is giving me, it becomes too much about me. And gratitude for me, I've for a long time rejected a gratitude practice because it's like, then I'm grateful for this and this and this, and it didn't ever feel right.
Because you were
there's gratitude.
Yes, you were either it was being offered to you or you were experiencing it as a surface practice. And it's interesting, Spencer, you've been talking about the value of deeper, 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 because now you're going deeper, deeper, deeper with a gratitude practice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Spencer, I know you're also a fan of Ramana Maharshi, and I believe it was Ramana Maharshi that talked about the mind sinking into the heart. So you might take into your weekend deeper and deeper and deeper prompting, inquiry around the mind sinking into the heart of gratitude that has nothing to do with a subject-object relationship.
Perfect. Yes. I shall.
Thank you, Spencer. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So Sue is going to refresh her browser and come online. And then Yevelyn mentioned, thank you, Yevelyn, for being willing to come online. Sandy, a spacious heart isn't something you, an individual self, cultivates. Remember, in practice, we're touching the spaciousness that is.
Yes, hello.
And hello to you. And so is this, Yevelyn, hello, great. Your name just popped up at the bottom. I've seen your name come through so many times, and it's wonderful to put a face with the name. Hello.
Thank you. First, thank you for everything and all the support you gave me and all of us. It's really very important to me at this time. Now I have a question. Hope it's not too complicated. I hope you can get it with my French accent sometimes. Well, I've been practicing meditations for years and years and years, and mainly in the Vipassana way, which means when you have like a difficult feeling or emotion, when it arises, you don't go for it. But when it arises, you go to the like intuitive meeting of the emotion or feeling, and you just stay with this feeling and you see if you might get an insight or not. And here we go. So it's like you go in contact sometimes. No. Here, if I understood properly, and it's really also very supportive, it's like this, like the image of the ocean with the two realities. And you have like all these feelings and emotions and everything on the surface, like the relative reality. And you have the depth of the ocean. Now, did I understand properly that mainly you stay in contact, in your presence, in the depth of the ocean, including the waves, but you don't really like go to meet the waves, you know, or the... So my question is, I feel like both can be supportive. I felt this week and the previous week that letting the waves there and being in the depth of the ocean was really very resourceful and extremely supportive. But I'd like if it's possible to hear your words on that. Should I go sometime to meet the waves or not? Or what would be your feeling? I would really love. I
Yeah.
hope it's not too mental. It's really comes
No. It's very clear. And it's don't fall for the conditioned voice that says, oh, maybe this is too mental, because you're actually just voicing your experience. And you're voicing a very subtle place in practice that you have inquiry around. And that's beautiful. It's beautiful that you're wanting to explore your experience so fully. So thank you for that. Thank you for the sincerity of your practice. It's true, there are different meditation forms that allow us to work with, if you will, emotion or even thought form. And if I understand your question correctly, you're describing a very important distinction about kind of the nature of our relationship with the emotion.
Yes.
My greatest encouragement when you were speaking, what arose for me is after I was a monastic, I spent some time working with a man named Walter McKitchen, and he created the Center for Self-Teaching. And what was really significant for me about the way he approached practice was that working with him gave me a sense of authority around knowing that I would have the answer to my questions. I would have the answers to my questions. So the reason I offer that to you, Evelyn, am I saying your name right?
Yes.
Okay, good. The reason I offer that to you is because in one moment, it might be really appropriate. Let's say Susie is so identified with her emotional experience that she's forgotten that the ocean even exists. It can be really helpful to turn the attention to the recognition that she is the ocean, and to be in relationship, if you will, with that emotion as something existing within this larger field. But she sees and she knows herself as this larger field. Now, for another person, there could be so much recognition of I am this larger field that there can become almost like a dismissing of anything that arises, maybe not intentionally, but an almost sort of a, ignoring of. Again, both are distortions of pure forms of practice that are meant to lead to liberation. But another thing that I see a lot, and I'll acknowledge I see it a lot when I work with folks who are steeped in the Vipassana tradition, there can be this recognition of the value of being the observer. So I'm hovering above experience, noticing experience, but there's kind of a detachment there, as if they aren't the experience, but they're just observing the experience. There's a subject-object split there that sometimes we don't get past. The same can be true with, okay, now I'm going to go into this experience, but it's and you described that, but it's sort of like, can you feel how sometimes it's like I'm going to go into this, and now, and what kinds of things can arise when you go into it in that kind of subject-object way? What kinds of things do you notice about it?
Well, sometimes it helps because you just speaking personal experience, and this is like a type of energy which will stay and go without me to try to push it away. But I must say, sometimes with stronger emotions, it has been very painful and
Has been, say the word?
very painful sometimes.
Yes, painful.
So if it's very strong, if it's very heavy, and there, the feeling of going back like to the ocean, to take presence, to get this openness and this awareness helped a lot.
Yes.
I was like, maybe both can be right depending on the moment or depending on the person.
Absolutely. And that's why I underline this sort of center for self-teaching. Ask yourself this question. This is for all of us. What leads towards suffering and what leads away from it? Because that is the point of all of these practices. So, there's a way to move into the experience of, let's say, strong emotion, where you're so fully in that experience that there's a true oneness with experience and not a shutting out of the ocean, because the experience isn't separate from the ocean. So if we go with that metaphor of the ocean, you cannot take a wave out of the ocean, right? So there's a real in Kashmir Shaivism, there's a real emphasis on this sort of tantric practice of fully going in. That's a lovely and beautiful approach in practice. So it can be very nourishing to take that approach. But what you'll want to pay attention to is the process, the how, the where is it leading? Does it lead to such identification with that emotional experience that there's no longer an ocean? I'm so fully the wave that all I know is the wave, and I think I'm that wave as if that wave exists independently of the ocean. So do some experimenting over this weekend, Evelyn. Do have some inquiry around your experience. Say yes and thank you to life that's providing opportunities for practice. And then please come report back next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for your support again.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And to Janice too. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Friends, I'm a minute over. My apologies, but thank you. Thank you for being here. I will read the questions I didn't get to today before I sign off fully. And I really hope to see you Monday to join back together for practice. And if you can focus on how to get on screen over the weekend, if you don't know how, or if you need to adjust your technology, please do. It's lovely to get to be in exchange with you. And if you choose to stay silent through these calls, through these practices, that's also just fine. Thank you for being. Right.